Hello, welcome back to my channel, and of course welcome back to the desk corner, which is a little bit decked out now for Halloween. In today's video, I'm actually drawing with ink and pen, which is not really something I typically do on this channel. Haven't done that since Inktober last year. It's a little bit hard to see on the camera right now, but this is the drawing that I'm doing for a demonstration today. But before we get into it, I also want to show you guys this leaf that I started drawing. If you can see that, I fine-lined it with brown pen. Don't really know what to do with it now, so if you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments what I should do with this. I can't do watercolor because this paper is Strathmore Bristol Smooth, so I'm not really sure what else I can do with this leaf. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this ink drawing of this elf slash girl slash Halloweenish slash Inktober drawing. I am aware of the plagiarism going on with the creator of the original Inktober, so I know a lot of people are following non-official prompts and just calling it Drawtober, but I'm actually not going to be doing Inktober or Drawtober this year, 2020 at all. What you're looking at now are some of the drawings I did for last year, 2019's Inktober. Before I get to the demonstration, I actually thought this would be a fun time to go back and show you guys my Inktober drawings from last year. But if you are here primarily for the demonstration, I'll leave a timestamp so that you can skip ahead and skip this part. Okay, so I know you've been staring at it for long enough, but here's the first page. This one is probably the cutest page and things just go a little bit downhill from there. But my favorite one from this page is actually probably Snow White's Poison Apple, but I also like the Enchanted Rose up here. This is a very fairy tale-ish page. And then the next page is a little weird because I started drawing scenes, which I'm not really very good at. Except for this one, of course. So I wouldn't say that this page was my favorite because I don't really know if I knew what I was doing here. Okay, so this page was very spooky. I drew this Black Widow spider. I also drew this ghoul creature thing, which I just don't really want to talk more about this because it actually probably still haunts my nightmares to this day. So let's just ignore that one and look down here. I have an alien. I actually was considering redoing this drawing this year and doing another Black Widow spider, but I can't really get myself to look at the picture, the reference photo, too long to do it, so I don't know if I'm going to end up doing it because spiders really freak me out. Now this next page is really, really cool. I actually love this page. It might be my favorite page that I did. I love this werewolf drawing that I did here that's kind of like a morphing sort of state. I don't really know exactly what I was trying to do here because she's not morphing. It looks like the werewolf is behind her, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of like a two-faced type of thing. Now this page I don't love. I like the top two drawings. I don't like the bottom two very much. So this fairy girl right here, I'm actually going to be recreating her a little bit for today's demonstration, but I'm going to make her more into like an elf girl. The cat I think turned out really good. These two down here were just not really my favorite. This page itself just looks super Halloween. Like this might be my most Halloween themed page. I have Ghostface from the movie Scream. And then for those of you who recognized him, we do have the Green Goblin up here with his giant ear. And then a couple more spooky things and the creature from the Black Lagoon. Yeah, the creature from the Black Lagoon. So I think that one turned out well. It took me a while to do. So for those of you who watched this portion of the video, let me know what your favorite drawing was out of all of them, or what your favorite couple of drawings were, because I know there's a lot. And that way I will know that you saw this part of the video. Okay, now let's get on with the demonstration. So I'm going to be using a couple of the pens out of my set of Faber Castell pens. The first thing I'm going to do with this is fine line the entire graphite sketch that I already have drawn out, so all of her features, and it's really hard to do this if you don't have the most steady hand. It is really hard to do this. Luckily, since I'm going to be shading a lot of areas, if I make a couple mistakes fine lining, which I did, then I can kind of cover that up later, but I'm not the best at keeping a steady hand with ink. It scares me. I did give her a little bit of an elf ear. I didn't want to do the fairy thing and draw a wing in, so I just gave her a little bit of an elf ear for Halloween. And then I went in and colored in her lips and her eyebrows black with the pen, just to make them stand out a little bit more and make her look a little bit more elf-like, I guess. For the hair, this part is a little bit tough for me because hair is very soft and natural looking in real life, so I'm kind of struggling here to create that natural look with pen because pen is so much more neat and like rigid. So I didn't want to create strands of hair that looked too stiff. I wanted them to still flow, and then I wanted to show her waves as well without creating too much, I guess, shadow. I don't know, I might have overdone it on the shadow though. So I'm just indicating where all those waves are. I'm also using Strathmore Bristol smooth paper, by the way, because it is a very ultra smooth paper that is really good for ink, and the ink just glides right over it. And you don't have any kind of like texture that the pen could get stuck in, because if that happens, you can't really get a straight line. So that's the type of paper that I'm using for this. When I started shading her face, it kind of just looks like she has like a beard or something at this point, because I haven't done any other shading, but that will look better later. I'm just using cross hatching with my small pen nib and then the extra small to kind of create a deeper shadow closer to the ear on her jawbone, and then also the same thing on her nose and forehead. I want to create a bit of a shadow, and I think that this cross hatching technique ends up looking really cool with pen, or if you like to do hatching. I don't really have the patience for stippling when you create a bunch of tiny little dots, but yeah, if you want to do that, you have a lot of patience, so kudos to you for that. For her eyelids, I added a little bit of shadow, but I wanted her eyelashes to be the main like area that stands out with the eyes, so I darkened up her eyelashes a bit, and then I kind of left a lot of white areas because I kind of wanted there to be high contrast in this drawing. Since it is a ink drawing, it's only going to be black and white, so I did want to leave a lot of highlighted areas to make it look a little bit more dramatic. This is Halloween after all. Now the hair was a bit tricky because I wanted to create some shadowed areas, but I did want to leave some areas still highlighted and white, just to show the light shining in the hair. I didn't want it to be anything too dark, so for the strands of hair that are flying off her face a bit, I darkened those up quite a bit so that they stood out a little bit more against the white background. When I'm darkening up areas really black, like the hairline for example, I want to make sure that I'm using my thicker pen, so like a medium-sized pen. I don't want to use my smaller pens because I don't want to waste too much ink on those ones, so those ones are going to be used more for the finer details. As you guys can probably tell, this isn't really my usual style. I usually stick to just realism, and yes, this is kind of realism still, but I don't usually add in any other aspects or use this style. And the only other time I did this was last Inktober when I created a lot of these ink drawings similar to this one. So this was a bit fun for me to get out of my usual comfort zone and do something different, and I did practice this technique a lot last year, so I definitely knew what I was doing a little bit more than I would have last year when I started Inktober. But you can see that I'm really trying to create highlights and shadows in the hair. There is that big piece of hair that lays over her shoulder, and then the rest of it flows really nicely behind her, and all of that was a little bit harder for me to portray because I didn't want to overdo it with the pen. I think I still overdid it with the pen a little bit for that portion of her hair, but I think it still turned out pretty good. I do really love the dark eyebrows, dark lips, and everything, and the shading that I did on the face with this, that's pretty dramatic. I think it's just a dramatic drawing overall, and the elf ear of course makes it a little bit more interesting, but I didn't really add any other features to indicate that she's an elf or anything, just the elf ear, you know, just a little touch of Halloween there. If you guys like this drawing, let me know if you want me to do any similar ones this month, because this only took me probably about like an hour and a half to do. I definitely could do some more small scale ink drawings like this. I probably wouldn't want to do anything too large because it would take up a lot of ink in my pens, but I would want to maybe do another similar drawing to this one that is also like a mini drawing, I guess you could say. Now last year when I drew this girl as a fairy, I think I left her shoulder bare, but I thought it would be more interesting to kind of give a little bit of texture to whatever clothing she might be wearing, and it almost looks a little bit like interesting, like maybe something an elf would wear, I don't really know. Kind of just gave a little bit of a texture, something knitted maybe, something that's a little bit like net-like, I don't know. I just gave her kind of a weird texture for whatever she's wearing, and then I just sort of left it like that. I didn't want to darken it up because the hair was already so dark. I just wanted it to be light as well as the face. Besides the shadows, there's a lot of highlights going on in the face because I felt it would be a little too busy if I added more shading since the hair is already so very dark. And then this part was fun. I went in with my extra small, mostly sometimes my small size pen, and added in strands of hair like flyaways, which was a little nerve-wracking for me, but I still wanted to do that because that's my favorite part of drawing hair, is actually adding in the little details at the end. Fixed up some of the shadows on her face, added a little bit more around her lip, and hopefully it doesn't look too much like facial hair. I'm hoping that that's not what I accidentally portrayed here. Okay guys, so this is the end result here. Also, for a quick comparison, here's last year's fairy girl compared to this year's elf girl. Which one do you guys like better? I know I did some slight changes and I wanted this to be a little bit different. Again, if you guys are doing Inktober or Drawtober, let me know which prompt you are following and how it's going for you. That's all for today's video, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. Leave a comment and let me know what you thought, and I will be coming out with more October/Halloween related videos for the rest of the month.